Mark your calendars for Insights EDU 2025 happening in New Orleans from February 12th through 14th. Registration is officially open now. If you're in higher education marketing and enrollment management, this conference is for you. Here's your chance to connect with visionary thought leaders, uncover the latest student trends, and learn groundbreaking marketing and enrollment management strategies to transform your institution's programs. You can expect to hear from some of the best speakers in higher ed and from companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and more. Plus, you'll network with other passionate professionals just like you. Take advantage of their early bird pricing. This limited time offer won't last forever, so head over to insightsedu.com to lock in your spot and level up your marketing and enrollment management.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience, and today we are extremely excited to announce our paid subscription service. By subscribing today, you will get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is your special guest host, Dr. Lori Shanderson, and I'm actually the host of EdUp Accreditation. But I'm taking some time off today to speak to our lovely guest, Dr. Kate Ferrel, who is the 21st, in 2021, you became the new president of Nicolet College.
Yes, so many numbers to remember.
Yes, well,
Thank you so much.
But welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be with you. I turn to EdUp constantly for inspiration. So it's a real honor to be with you today. Thank you.
Well, I love hearing that. And I'm sure everyone else who's a part of the EdUp podcast series will too. You know, we try to make content that people can use and that they find helpful in their higher education journey. So tell us a little bit about this new presidency, because I think you're still relatively new. 21 wasn't that long ago.
That's right. If I were to pull up my phone, I do have a count up calendar, which reminds me how many days I've served as president. So I'm just completing my third year, about to start my fourth year. So as I like to say, I think I might have my sea legs beneath me at this point. So, you know, moving beyond sort of the storming and forming and now into maybe some of the norming of my presidency, I hope. So it's been quite a journey. I would have never imagined I would be given the honor and privilege of leading an institution like Nicolet College, one where we're so deeply committed to transforming lives in the work that we do. So it's just been sometimes I have to pinch, I have to say to myself, really, this is what you're doing. You're getting to do this amazing work. So it's been an honor.
Well, tell us a little bit about Nicolet College.
Sure. Nicolet College is a very small college in northern Wisconsin. So Nicolet College is one of the 16 colleges in the Wisconsin Technical College system. Nicolet is the smallest of the 16, but we're quite mighty. And we've really, I think, differentiated ourselves in a couple of different ways that I'm pretty sure we'll have a chance to talk about in our time together. But we are unique in that sustainability and sensibilities around our physical setting really are present in everything that we do. If you visit our website or have the just great honor and privilege to physically visit Nicolet College outside of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, you will say to yourself as you're driving down the driveway, this is not a college, this is a resort. People are bowled over by the fact that we're in the middle of the woods on 280 acres. Our physical geography across our 280 acres, we have 7 different biomes. So that lends some really cool learning experiences for our science classes. Also, even our writing classes, getting outside and, enjoying the out of doors. And then one of the best things is that we're also on the shores of Lake Julia. The northern Wisconsin, of course, is littered with water and lakes, and we are so privileged to sit right on Lake Julia. We've got 3,000 feet of frontage. So as you can imagine, both, people in terms of enjoying the out of doors have so much to see and do when they visit Nicolet College. And then, when you're here to work and learn, the setting is spectacular.
Absolutely. And I'm one of those people. The aesthetic is so important to me and it sounds beautiful. I thought you were going to describe, when you said it was resort like, something different, but I think I would absolutely love that. You mentioned in your video, and if our listeners are so inclined, they should go to the Nicolet College website where you have a new president's message. I think that's what it is, and it's very inspiring. And you talk a little bit about your leadership philosophy that is rooted in empathy, transparency, servant leadership. How do you plan to implement these values in your day-to-day management, or how have you so far in your last 3 years implemented those values in your day-to-day management and strategic planning at Nicolet College?
Yeah, I would have to say that those sensibilities show up in some of the really big projects in which we've embarked upon my first 3 years. We hadn't had a strategic plan for some time.
Hmm.
So where you'll see empathy and transparency, I think, come out is we took some time to do a really good strategic, really solid, really comprehensive strategic plan that started with getting some training from SCUP, from the
Yeah.
Society of College and University Planning.
Mhm.
So a number of us got some training on what that was all about, what real integrated planning means. And so we came back and embarked upon sort of a homegrown process that first included a really deep dive into our data so that people could be on the same page and we could have the utmost of transparency. So all those folks that were involved in creating our strategic plan knew what it was that we were dealing with in terms of our employment demographic, our aging demographic, what's been happening with our shrinking K-12 demographic, so that we could create the best integrated strategic plan possible. And then another area where we've been focusing a lot of energy is ensuring that our ducks are in a row for our Higher Learning Commission reaccreditation next spring of 2025. And I, this is really quite a sidebar, but I am one of 9 children who grew up on a dairy farm,
I
and
read
it was
that.
yes, and it was truly my parents' philosophy that many hands make light work, and I have really carried that into my leadership style as well. I just feel as though for deep engagement, you've got to have really rich cross-functional teams engaged in this work. And some colleges choose to have really one person in charge of accreditation. I think given my leadership style, it's been really important for me that we spread that work across the institution as much as we can, which in turn helps in other ways, like building a culture of continuous improvement that's
Mhm.
stretches really from facilities to instruction to student services. So, as I like to joke, no one is immune from continuous quality improvement. It's all
Absolutely.
of our jobs.
And
So,
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I host the accreditation podcast, and what you said is it's not a job for one person. In fact, it shouldn't be. And if it is, that could be, well, that is problematic. It's not that it could be. So I'm glad that you mentioned that and that your philosophy is very inclusive. I'm also SCUP certified and believing a very inclusive strategic planning process where everyone is involved and helps steer the direction of the institution by virtue of their participation and in providing feedback relative to the plan. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, and mentioning your leadership style. And how do you see the role of a college president as a servant leader in today's educational landscape, especially in a diverse community like that of Nicolet College?
Yeah, for me, the concept of servant leadership is really rooted, I think, at its deepest level in just putting other people, other priorities, just putting all of them first, putting the institution first. Um, I I believe that servant leadership is really all about just having extremely well developed, just emotional intelligence and just authentic listening skills and really understanding what people are, how they're presenting to you, and being willing to listen and learn and then help them, serve them, basically, to help them achieve the goals of the institution. So it's just very much, I think, leading with a spirit of being very other centered. And sometimes when you're the boss or when you're the leader or the president, it's you there's a lot of pull to maybe not be that way because you have a lot of work to get done.
Right.
So understanding individual motivations or team motivations um, it takes more time. Collaboration and consensus building, it takes a lot more time. But I think as a servant leader, you have to stay tuned into the individual and what personal motivations are all about, and then help to align those with the needs of the institution as well. It's not towards an end of manipulation or anything like that. I mean, we're all here to do a job. So it's maybe that comes from my SCUP training as well, the alignment to a higher calling, really.
Well, I think it comes from a little bit come from SCUP, but something that I neglected to ask about was your background, because I think who you are and the leader that you are today has been, it's a logical outgrowth of where you've come from. So can you share with us a little bit about your background and some of those key salient experiences that make you the leader that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, not to go all the way back to like formative years, but truly, I mentioned having grown up in central Wisconsin on a dairy farm, 9 kids, I mean, tons of work. And so I think that really set the foundation for me being a team player as well.
Mhm.
Went on through high school and college and played on in team sports throughout both experiences. Early career choices included working for nonprofits. So I got to understand folks that, maybe didn't have the agency or the ability to speak for themselves. So I was put in a position to, advocate for others really early on in my career. So spent some time in nonprofit, and then spent some time in for-profit, but always work centered around kind of the disciplines of communication and marketing and public relations and fundraising. So those were, I think, really, especially my marketing background, is really, I think, a benefit to leading a college as well, because I'm constantly trying to sell people on the idea of the value of higher education, whether it be learners or potential students or our employers. Um, getting people rallied around the college's vision and ensuring that we have a really strong brand and marketing message that's consistent and easy to understand and appealing. So I think that's where, my experiences in marketing, public relations, and communications really are showing up in the workplace now. Plus, we're a strengths-based organization as well. And my top strength is individualization. So that means that my bucket is filled when I get to know people on an individual level. And I find that not only exhausting in a really good way, but I also find it just so helpful to have that strength because I'm able to align people to the work that really makes sense to them and that they're extremely passionate about as well. So that's been a really, I think,
Yeah.
formative element to
I
my
think
presidency.
I cannot believe that we're already in the back half of 2024.
Are you kidding me?
But here we are. Before you know it, the calendar will be turning again, and that means we are already getting ready for 2025 conferences, and one that I'm personally very excited to attend again is the Insights EDU conference. If you care at all about growing enrollment and building a student-centered higher ed experience, you really should be at this conference. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available. Visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register. That's visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Are you enjoying the conversation so far? Good, I hope so. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early before anybody else and ad-free, so you don't have to hear my voice during these ads? And did you also know that you could get extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. So go to edupexperience.com, that's EDUP experience.com, and become a subscriber today. First, you got to sign up to our free email newsletter, and then you'll find out how to become a subscriber. Again, go to edupexperience.com.
That's a great skill, knowing where people thrive and putting them in those positions, and knowing when to do that and being able to see that is a key skill of a good leader, in my opinion. And I know that you like to foster leadership in others. And can you tell us about any specific leadership development programs or opportunities that you're planning to introduce to both students and faculty that speak to leadership?
Yeah, I'm really excited to launch. We based again. This is really not a SCUP commercial,
Right.
even though it's sounding like it is.
Listen, SCUP is amazing. I have nothing bad to say. I have leaned on SCUP, their professional collateral, everything that they offer is amazing. So I agree. It's not a SCUP commercial, but they're wonderful to work with, and they've been nothing but amazing in my career.
Truly, they've been such a great resource for me and this institution to really get us thinking around this idea of building a culture of planning. One of the things that grew out of our SCUP involvement was this idea of advanced teams that grew out of our action plans and our strategic plans. And what action teams have done is to, I think other people might call them solve and dissolve sorts of teams, or some of them are lengthier, like our diversity, equity, and inclusion advanced team, our master facility plan advanced team. We've got performance management advanced teams. So what those advanced teams have done is assembled a cross section of employees who may otherwise not have had an opportunity to share in the governance and the shaping of the institution through the work on these teams that help to advance initiatives at the college. So the newest advanced team that we're going to be spinning up is the President's Advanced Team. And what we're going to be doing as far as a charge or a charter with the President's Advanced Team is really taking ownership of our ongoing strategic planning and using that as a vehicle for me to hear what's going on and what the pulse is across the institution. So that advanced team is going to also be a cross section of employees, but also comprised of students. So students are going to be sitting right next to the director of HR or right next to a facilities worker. I think it's going to be a really rich cross section of employees that are really that I am going to lean on heavily for informing the work that we do going forward for, the next strategic plan that we build that hopefully takes us into 2030 and beyond.
Yeah, I love that because it's a built-in feedback mechanism, isn't it? And to have all of the constituents kind of intermingle so that they can hear that level of perspective that helps you make those good decisions. So understanding community needs seems to be central to your approach. And it looks like you set up this mechanism to help you ensure ongoing actionable feedback from students and stakeholders. is included in continuous feedback. But I want to ask you about some cultural trust and diversity, if I would. So you mentioned a commitment to encouraging diversity of thought and creating a culture of trust. It might have been in your video. I took a note of that. But what steps are you taking to ensure these values are integrated throughout the college's administration, curriculum, and even student life?
hmm I think I'll harken back to that reference I just made to the fact that we have a permanent advanced team focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that team engages in a number of different initiatives, both involving students and staff. The latest one is just some really unique art installations that reflect unique artist sensibilities. Like the latest is an art installation that was created by a Native American artist from the area that illustrates the aurora borealis, for
Oh,
example. And then the DEI committee also, works with our veteran population, for example. And last year, the DEI committee applied for and was chosen one of 36 sites, I believe, is the number for the traveling Vietnam Veterans Memorial
wow,
Wall.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah, we hosted the wall here on campus, and again, it's a really selective process. And our DEI group led this charge, got the wall, got the funding for it. We had over the course of like 2 days, nearly 10,000 visitors to the wall, and there were educational components to that. We had thousands of school children come through and see the wall and do rubbings and leave things behind. I mean, it was chilling, some of the things, the articles and artifacts that some of our visitors left behind, letters that were written, newspaper articles that were cut out, and they would place it near to where their loved one's name was on the wall. So DEI has been killing it. They have just been rocking it with a variety of programming. One of the other areas that I'm really proud of that I mean, I can't take credit for it, but the president helps to clear the brush and create the resources for things. But we have a really unique position here at the college that works within our academic affairs area. And it's a role that's committed to and focused on open and inclusive academics. And this particular person started just by advancing open educational resources for us. And her role has grown into a much bigger, very strategic oversight of ensuring that textbooks, curriculum has that inclusivity lens applied. So it's kind of a unique role for us. And we're just really proud that we've created the space and the resources for someone to have this as their sole reason for being with us, to ensure that our academics are open and inclusive. So that's kind of a cool way to advance that equity and inclusion conversation as well, and our commitment to it. One other example I would provide is if you've checked us out on our website, you might have noticed that our district is also home to 3 different sovereign Native American tribes. Wisconsin has 11 federally recognized tribes, and within our district alone, we serve 3 of those different sovereign nations. And so we've done quite a bit of programming to help address what some of their specific needs are. And in particular, we've got a really popular Native American tribal business management program where these folks are getting training in governance, sovereignty, legal issues, so that graduates of that program go back to their tribes and serve in leadership roles within their tribal governments. The way we have ensured that we are serving those populations authentically and appropriately is that we've we've spun up something called an Indigenous Advisory Council. So we have systematic feedback from our tribal partners on what it is that they're experiencing as the greatest need for training. So we're trying to normalize and systematize that involvement and that partnership. And we've done that through creating this Indigenous Advisory Council, who are always there for us to ask questions of, to do gut checks with, the appropriateness and the accurateness of the curriculum that we're delivering. So it's been a really, really amazing experience to have that degree of feedback.
I love that. But what have been some of the biggest challenges you have come across, and maybe that you anticipate in guiding students to realize their possibilities? And how do you plan to address any of these challenges? And I think this area of discussion is so important right now as we look at the way that young people are socialized and the things that they consume on a regular basis as it relates to social media and just things in the world. I'm just curious to know more about your perspective.
I would say that, you know, it is, we're serving a population that's still emerging and will, for the next decade at least, be impacted by their pandemic experience. So, we are creating the conditions at Nicolet College to ensure not only a welcoming and inclusive environment, but creating the kinds of student activities and clubs that will support students who might just want a little bit of time to re-engage with the world. So we've got our student activities that speak to our Rainbow Hode Club, serves our LGBTQ community. Our Veterans Club is a home to those that we serve from the veteran community. Law enforcement, cosmetology and barbering, auto, welding, all these clubs are intended to help build community for folks that may have lost that over the last few years. So these clubs are really cool because they're student-led. And so students are really dictating what the programming looks like, what some of the community service looks like, what professional development looks like. So we're giving students the opportunity not only to reconnect, re-engage, and commune, but we're also giving them the agency to help build that based on what the dynamic or the club's needs are at that time. Another challenge, though, to us is that we also serve an older student who has fallen in love with the flexibility that we offer through competency-based education, a great amount of online learning opportunities, and hybrid. So that presents, when the students aren't physically here, that presents a whole new challenge unto itself. So the college has made a real commitment to engaging in a lot of professional development around creating engaging online opportunities. And we've created things like podcast rooms, for example, and through our facilities planning, we plan to really accelerate that so that our faculty can create the most engaging experience for students, whether they're here or joining us from their living room.
I love that. And I appreciate the time that you took to spend with me today for the EdUp Experience podcast. It has been extremely interesting and really lovely to hear about the campus. And I'm going to go back now because I didn't get to see a lot, but I want to see the pictures. I want to see the biomes.
The seven biomes.
I want to see those. I want to see what I can capture relative to the art that you mentioned as well. But as we close out, I have one last question for you. And it has to do with humor and optimism in leadership because you have this leadership position. And I want to know how you use humor and optimism as tools in your leadership, especially when addressing those serious challenges in higher education.
Yeah, I do have a tendency, probably, in times of either stress or being challenged, to maybe go to humor too often. I think one of the things I have come into in terms of now being entering my fourth year of this role is making maybe better decisions around when humor is appropriate, and when it isn't. But it truly is my default because, you know, life outside of our work, and even in our work, the world is a really heavy, stressful place
Has been.
anymore. And yes, it has. And so I just, I defer to a sense of humor, trying to not belittle or underestimate the importance or gravity of certain circumstances. But I'll tell you, more often than not, I am going to sprinkle humor into challenging circumstances. And, I hope that I have placed enough deposits in people's emotional bank accounts that, if it feels a little like, "Oh, I don't know if that was quite appropriate at that time," that people know that there's always room for a little bit of levity, even when circumstances feel at their most dire or heaviest. But it's certainly, as you evolve in this kind of role, you start to realize there are certain circumstances where probably humor isn't the most appropriate thing. But I'll tell you, I'm an eternal optimist. I am like super jazzed to wake up every morning, and I ask my husband. I bound out of bed at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I am so dang eager to get the day rolling. I love mornings. I absolutely love to get here and just start to plan out the day and just imagine, as you said, imagine the possibilities of what lies ahead in every single day that we're given.
I love that. You're very inspirational and your optimism is wonderful and infectious. And I will say, having that humor component incorporated into your leadership, I think is a strong characteristic of a good leader because we cannot take ourselves so seriously. And it just speaks to your leadership, and I'm sure everyone is enjoying you there at your institution, Nicolet College. And again, we're so happy to have had you on. So thank you for your time and everything that you've shared with us.
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. And, you know, all the listeners have an open invitation to visit Nicolet College. We even have a resident mama bear who lives here. So
Wow.
it's something to behold.
Well, I'd love to see it. Well, there you have it, everyone. You've just been EdUped, and that's what we do on the EdUp Experience, the podcast series that covers everything and anything in higher education at this point. So tune in, find us on Spotify, on Apple Play, and all of the main places where you find podcasts, and be ready to be entertained and educated at the same time. Thank you again to our lovely our lovely guest, host too, I might add, our lovely guest. And we truly enjoyed having you. Thank you again.
Attention.
Mark your calendars for Insights EDU 2025 happening in New Orleans from February 12th through 14th. Registration is officially open now. If you're in higher education marketing and enrollment management, this conference is for you. Here's your chance to connect with visionary thought leaders, uncover the latest student trends, and learn groundbreaking marketing and enrollment management strategies to transform your institution's programs. You can expect to hear from some of the best speakers in higher education and from companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and more. Plus, you'll network with other passionate professionals just like you. Take advantage of their early bird pricing. This limited time offer won't last forever, so head over to insightsedu.com to lock in your spot and level up your marketing and enrollment management.
Attention.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Did you enjoy that conversation? I hope you did. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early on and ad-free. And you can also hear extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com to subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, that's edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.